Hello, Outriders. It is Ebontis here, and what I want to do with you guys today is give you kind of my feelings and impressions from about my first 24 hours in the game, because I've been at this for a little while, but, my first day with the demo is the best way I know how to say this. What I've done so far is I've played through both the Trickster and the Technomancer up to World Tier 5 and their demo cap of level 7, rerunning some side quests and the story to get more and more gear. Now, it's not complete since I haven't played all the classes, but I played through half of them, so we're getting there. And I've put a fair amount of time into the game today. Now, overall, first off, I'm going to say I'm having fun. That's just one of those things where it's a personal thing. Everybody's going to have a piece. Again, since it's a free demo, I recommend everybody to check this thing out. But I have been having fun, and also both of the classes I've played so far feel very, very different. To a point where like these two felt like completely different playstyles, and the little video that I had up previously almost doesn't do the Technomancer justice, because I think early on it's not going to have quite the same feel once you get more and more things unlocked. The game has a decent amount going for it. The feel of the game is good. Feels fairly optimized on PC where I'm playing it, and I've heard on PS5 it's like almost even better. So it's going to be running pretty well on most platforms that you throw at it. Apparently, I mean, if you want to play 720-60, you can also play it that way as well, just depending on your rig and your system. It's really just going to kind of depend. But the offensive playstyle that they mentioned in the game, you really want to get in there, getting certain kills and things like that, really started to shine when I switched over to the Trickster. Now, the Trickster is one of the two classes that you get health and shields when you get kills up close. So I'm going to leave some of the footage on there showing that. Now, the difference between the Technomancer is it's the class they showed last, and I don't know if it was one they weren't sure how to make it different. They wanted to give an alternative for people. The Technomancer feels like it's the one that's going to play from cover the most. So the little preview that I saw, or that I posted before, showed the Technomancer probably in cover a lot. Now, as you climb up in world tiers, cover becomes more and more important. At first, I could just throw a melee out there, do a couple things, and manage crowd control. And there's certain abilities that I don't have yet, which are going to help manage the crowd for Technomancer. But the Trickster is be up in the fight. You can hide far away, but it's not going to benefit you that much, especially when there's lots of ads running around from different angles, and you're basically going to need to get in the mix and kill things with weapons that are strong up close. So I've also learned when it comes to boss battles, it's almost the opposite. The Technomancer, as the healing for the Technomancer comes from basically whenever you do damage, you're going to get like a portion of healing. Versus on the other classes, it's when you get a kill, you get a chunk of your health back. And then on the Trickster, you get some health, and also some shields, which it's the only class with shields. So they feel different. Like when you have groups of ads and I'm running around with the Trickster, putting a time bubble in, getting a few guys trapped, swiping them, kill like 3 guys, get health and shields up, then I'm running around a little more carefree, shotgunning people. It's a really active playstyle, very offensive. The other flip side of that for the Trickster is when I go into a boss fight. The boss fight, you're going to have a couple ads every so often. One big boss fight, you really have basically no ads, and it's just you and him. It's much harder to do that boss fight without, you really got to take care of your abilities, which is good. They actually come up a lot. But the boss fight itself, you realize you don't have anything to kill. And as health needs to come from kills, it is harder to do specific boss fights solo. Now, in a group, you're going to have people running around, but you're still going to be hard to feel as strong in boss fights when you are playing a class that needs kills, basically because you need kills to get health back, and at some point you're probably going to take damage. It's hard to take no damage on the boss fight so far. I got better, and the second time I went through, I kind of figured out what I needed to do. But there are going to be abilities we get and things that make all of these subclasses a little bit better anyway. But the one thing I noticed is some weapons have life leech on them. And the life leech for somebody like a Trickster really helped, because if there's a point where I'm low on health, and I can get a little bit of range, have, a mid-range gun, and put some shots into the boss, I'm able to build some of that health back up to give me a little more survivability. The alternative is the Technomancer. The Technomancer, when it comes to groups of ads, I had to play a little slower, a little more cover shooting, tried to use my abilities a little bit more, so I had my pain launcher, which is like a big artillery missile turret launcher, which does a ton of damage, by the way, when guys come charging at you. It's really, really powerful. It was also really good with sniper rifles, so it felt good to get some sniper rifle shots off, but I'm doing a lot of this from cover. And then for the Technomancer as well, I've got a bomb that I can throw, which is cool. I got a piece of armor, so now I can throw 3 bombs or 2 bombs, depending on how many I'm wearing. So the armor is definitely going to be a big factor, I've noticed, in what the mods you get, what you pair up to go really into your playstyle. But it did feel like I was playing a lot more passive from cover. The only time I was really in cover on my Trickster is if I was like kind of planning what was ahead. Then once I had everything all figured out, I was like, okay, I'll teleport in, wipe these guys, run over here, put a slow bomb up, start shooting these guys with a shotgun. Health is coming back the whole time, and it's really active. Now, again, take the Technomancer, a little more passive in the big group combat. When it comes to a boss, that's when I actually feel more free as a Technomancer, because if it's just he and I'm sitting there constantly putting damage into him, as long as I don't get completely overrun, which again, if you're far away from a boss, you're likely to be a little more safe, but as long as I don't get completely overrun, I'm at a point to where I can actually continue to pepper him with damage, and I'm always getting a little bit of health back, which really helps me survive and able just to manage a boss fight in kind of a more active status because I'm able to continually work my health up. So it's really interesting how a close-up killer like the Trickster survives really well and does awesome in group battles, but struggles in a boss fight, and then vice versa for the Trickster. Slow boss fights because it's really hard to manage abilities, and that's how I get a little bit of shields up, and then I kind of figured out the mechanics, versus the Technomancer that's constantly peppering with damage, even sniper rifle bullets. I'm even more powerful with headshots, and every shot with a sniper rifle, I'm just sitting there getting health back constantly, pretty much staying alive the whole time. Like the first time I did the boss on the Technomancer, easy. I died the first time on my Trickster, and then vice versa. It got really kind of hairy with the Technomancer when I was solo in groups, but then the Trickster, I'm just like killing guys, running all over the place, and unless I'm just really not paying attention, I'm getting health back, shooting guys, slowing stuff down. It's crazy active. So the mix of the two classes alone is going to mean there's probably one that's going to fit your playstyle, which is cool. Another piece about the game, the story so far. It gets dark pretty fast. I'm going to let you guys know that the story goes pretty dark, so when you play the demo, be ready. It goes to some places that are probably a little uncomfortable, but it definitely gets to the... We're the last, the last hope for Earth, like humans on a separate planet, and things have gone very poorly, and as humanity would probably most likely do, when things go poorly, humanity tends to show their true colors and things continue to go poorly. So everybody's a bit on the edge, people become very ruthless, there is no holds bar, things go very wrong, and people just don't care that much. So you're going to see characters completely flip their emotions. Time's passed, they've been through some stuff, and you can see it. I don't know how amazing the story is going to be. I'm kind of intrigued because you've got this mysterious signal, which we heard in kind of the prologue. And then in the first mission, we realized that they've been wondering about the signal or not able to specifically ever tune into it. Now that we have the signal we can tune into, it's 30 years. We're kind of running out of time. The anomaly storms are getting bigger, and we got to figure out what's up. So our whole point as an altered, or, an outrider, but the altered is the people who have powers, is to go out into the world and see what is out past where most people can survive. Altereds are the few who can survive out in the craziness outside of the valley that you're in. So the first area that you're also going to see in the demo is going to feel a little more tame when it comes to enemy style. They look mostly like humans, just different, different armor sets. There's not a lot of monsters or anything in this one. It is definitely all enemy-based. That is going to change. They have showed other places where there's monsters and different, monster hunts and crazy alien guys. It's going to be out there, but this first one, as this is where, kind of humanity got stuck and people have chosen to not be nice to each other, this is the humans first, and then we'll kind of figure out the mix as we get farther and farther out how that is. But there's definitely going to be some that are 100% just probably crazy alien monster creatures. We're just not there yet. We're going to have to go through multiple environments. We've got snow, we've got swamps, we've got desert. There's a lot of different environments besides this just kind of decrepit wasteland that we're in at this point. So I think as you get more and more out into a game that has a 35 to 40 hour campaign, depending on how much you farm and how much you go through it, you're going to get a good variety of worlds, of enemy types, and I think it's going to give you a decent story. Now, is it going to be like the best story ever? Is this going to be Mass Effect 2 or something? I don't know if I'd hold it that high. Won't know until we play it if they have any cool twists and turns. I know it went dark. I know it's pretty ruthless, so I could see some interesting things transpiring. And it does seem like there is, for sure, going to be like some big baddies that we face. And obviously there's an end game as well that I'll be curious to see how that culmination happens in the final story mission of the expeditions, which the expeditions are kind of the end game grind, but they also have story related to those as well. We don't even get to see that stuff. That's much later. So overall, the story has me curious. I mean, it's probably, you know, somewhat campy sci-fi writing, some people would say. But overall, I mean, the voice acting's reasonable. The deliveries are pretty good at certain points. You know, there's a little bit of believability in places. The main characters are not overly emotive that I've seen generally. There's a couple moments when it's like, yeah, that's probably the exact reaction I would have, whether it's, you know, insert curse word here or, you know, kind of a chuckle moment there. There are some decently fitting ones. Overall, though, I would say something like Ghost of Tsushima or Last of Us are probably going to have better performances. Not to knock these, but I mean, those are pretty epic. So you've got some pretty high quality characters there. So story has me intrigued. I'll be curious. And I think it's one that will be tolerable and somewhat enjoyable as you go through the game. Enough that the campaign will be something that you probably want to see through. It's not something you're like, I can't stand to hear these people talk ever. It's not going to be like that. I think it's going to be, I'll be curious to see where the story goes, and we'll go from there. When it comes to gear, which you're going to be getting a lot of, so far I've been intrigued. The mods that I've seen on both armor and weapons have been interesting. I've already got some weapons that inflict toxic, so things are kind of getting decay damage or poison damage. I've got others that start setting people on fire. And then I don't even have a legendary weapon yet to see what those things do. And the damage feels good. The guns feel pretty good. It's a third-person shooter, so nothing quite feels like a first-person shooter for gunplay. Destiny is a prime example how it's done extremely well. But first-person shooters, you just get a little more attachment to the guns. As this is frequent ability use plus guns, I think it's a good balance. One sniper rifle had like a 3-shot burst, and it had a scope on it. Felt really good. Another one was kind of a, you know, third-person kind of reticle point and didn't have quite the pop, but then I got a bolt-action rifle, and it felt really solid down the scope. So not all guns, I would say, are amazing, but the ones I've used so far feel mostly reasonable. Some definitely have a pretty great feel. Some are less stellar. Shotguns kick pretty hard. You got auto rifles or assault rifles, machine guns, submachine guns. You've got revolver, pistol options, sniper rifles, and each one of those types of weapons also has its variant. So a sniper rifle could be bolt action, could be standard, could be like a pulse sniper rifle. And you're going to have the variant plus the weapons plus like life leech or other things that are on there. And I think in general, you've got a game that has a lot of potential for gear done fairly well. Because the weapons are going to matter. And the armor does too. When you start getting into rare pieces of armor and weapons, you get mods on them. Well, the weapon mods are going to be, you know, shots do extra critical damage, or every so often you will be set a target burning. Things like that. Like things that are really going to have status effects and bonuses that are going to get pretty cool. And I think I've only seen like tier 1. So there's like even higher and higher mods. When it comes to armor mods, when it comes to rare and greater pieces, you're going to see that they're going to alter your abilities. So one was like, hey, I get to throw 1 shrapnel bomb as a trickster. Well, one of them that I put on said I can now throw 2. And I didn't realize another piece of armor I got also added another one. So I literally had 3 shrapnel bombs, and all of a sudden I could throw those things like all the time. Because the cooldown's pretty low in the first place. And unless I'm just like spamming them, I pretty much had one up all the time. So the weapons are going to make your abilities that start cool in the first place even better and more powerful than they are. And then you're just going to have to figure out what is your favored playstyle. And once you figure that out, you're going to be just kind of doing some awesome things. And the game's going to throw a lot of enemies at you, hence the aggressive playstyle. But if you have the aggressive playstyle with really cool abilities, that's when fun happens. And I think the combination of the mods to really spice up the abilities, the skill trees, which I haven't even talked about yet, and overall just the game's like world difficulty, you've got a game that you can experience a cool story and get like 35 to 40 hours out of a campaign. I'm not sure how the world tiers are going to work for the expeditions to experience the whole thing. And then you've also got a game with skill trees that are so deep that you have to really commit to a playstyle to get the most out of it. So you really have 4 classes, 3 skill trees. You could play them about 12 different ways and get a decent experience out of all of them, I think. So that's my thoughts on 2 characters with drastically different playstyles. The prologue, which is kind of cool to set it up and see where things go dark, and then the opening chapter, exploring side missions and world tiers. I got up to world tier 5, I reran a few missions and got better and better loot, and I think this is a game that will be a lot of fun. This will be one that I play all the way through. I think the in-game grind could be satisfying when it comes to getting more and more powerful gear, to really go for those powerful expeditions and fast expedition times. And even today, I got like a double rifle, and it was just, I didn't even expect what it was. It's not the most accurate, but at mid-range, pumps out a lot of bullets. So it's continued to surprise me, and I haven't even got a legendary weapon yet to see what craziness those hold. So if you haven't played Outriders yet, the demo is free. At this point, I think they've worked out most of the server kinks, so you're going to be able to you're going to be able, on Xbox, PlayStation, or Steam, on both, you know, past gen or current next gen, whatever you want to call them. On consoles, it should be available now, and on PC, on Steam, it should be available there. Any progress that you get out of the demo will carry forward into the full game as long as you play it on the same platform. So if you're going to play it on PlayStation, get the demo on PlayStation. Epic Games, the Epic Store is the only place it's not. So if you're playing it on PC, you're going to want to probably, you know, if you're going to play the demo on Steam, then you're probably going to want to buy it on Steam. Now, if you already like pre-bought it or did something on Epic, you might want to try the game on Steam, give it a shot, make sure you still like it, but I wouldn't dive too much into Steam because the progress won't carry between Steam and Epic. All I can say is I'm having fun. I can see where the game is definitely going to give a challenge, but I also think when you play to your character's strengths, and the co-op is actually really cool and fun. I played multiplayer quite a bit earlier before the servers were actually live because I had some early access to it. The playstyles were cool because I was supporting my the 2 Devastators I was playing with. They were more tanky up in the front, smashing people. I was a Technomancer in the back, like raining missiles down and sniping from the back. So the classes playing together should be a lot of fun too. So full crossplay is there. You just have to manually turn it on. So check it out. That's my advice. It's free. You don't even have to pre-order the game to try the game out. So I think it's definitely worth everybody's, you know, $0 to give this game a shot. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like below. Leave a comment if you have thoughts. If you've played already, let me know what classes you've played, what you've liked, if you have any thoughts about it. There are a couple tweaks, you know, that I would put to it. I haven't got to things like, you know, the ups and downs to it yet. Like the cinematics have a little shakiness to it. That's one thing I hope they get to. And then some of the blurriness they said they're mentioning as well. Motion blur will actually be in the game. The camera shakiness they're going to work on. They're going to see if they can get that in. But overall, I think it's a pretty positive start. And for a free game, you should definitely give it a shot. If you guys want to see me streaming, you can subscribe here, hit the alert bell. You guys see when new videos or streams go live on my YouTube channel. You can also find me on twitch.tv/Ebontis. I'll be streaming there, whether it be Destiny, Outriders, or who knows what else. And in the interim, you can find me on Twitter to keep up with everything I do, my stream schedule, and more. Thank you guys very much. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.